Hi guys. Um, okay, so I've been meaning to make this testimony for about a year now, and it just, I keep, something's not right. I don't have a camera, I don't have this, I don't have that. So, it's time. I decided to not worry about it so much, I guess, and just make it. Um, it's a long it's a long testimony, so um, it's an interesting one, I guess you could say, because um, it's it feels like I'm in a movie or something. I don't know. Just all the things that have happened to me have been weird, but ultimately it has led me to become born again and give my life to Christ. So this story is gonna be about that. It's my journey, really, on how I came to Christ. So I guess I'll start with, a little background, I guess. So I've always been a really good student. I never really got in trouble, but I was also very independent. Um, I was always curious as a kid. When I got into high school, it's kind of how it began. I started researching about different religions because I don't know, I just wanted to know more. I wanted to know which one was right. So I started researching, I stayed up late at night researching and just day in, day out. It was like, I was constantly looking up, just anything and everything that I could about the different religions. And it was right around that time that I met someone. Um, and this is ultimately how I came to know Christ, because it was my experience with this man um, that led me to repent and to give my life to the Lord. So I met him online, which I know people are gonna say, oh, you can't trust anybody you meet online. Um, that should have been a red flag right there. But I mean, I was shy. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything, so I didn't. I didn't have mm, like the courage to go up to people and meet people. So this was my way. So, anyways, I we decided to meet, and in this story you're gonna hear a lot of red flags. Okay, looking back, I yeah, but at the time, you just it's the way it is, you just kind of go through with it. And so, when we met, I found out that he actually lived in the neighborhood right next to me, which was kind of weird, but at the time I was like, oh, it's meant to be or whatever. And I remember our first date, he asked me what my dreams were. And I told him, that I wanted to own an island. I had these big dreams. Um, and he kind of shot them down. So I, and he asked me, like, oh, how are you gonna do that? How is that gonna happen? This and that. And me being, young, I'm like, well, I'm gonna work for it, duh. Like, it was just like like it was gonna happen. And, he, like I said, he kind of shot them down. And then I stopped kind of thinking about what my dreams were and everything. And, um, it was, I just kind of lived in the moment kind of thing. Like, I didn't really think about the future that often anymore. I I just thought, okay, I need to make money to pay rent. I need to do this to do this or whatever. And so even my mom and my brother, everybody in my family were telling me that he was brainwashing me. He was not a good person. But when you're in love, you just, oh no, you just don't want anything. You don't want to hear it. And so, I ignored them. And I it went kind of fast. He moved into my childhood home. My brother owned it, but he did not live there. It was me and my mom that lived there. And so he kind of moved in, and my brother found out, and that it did not end well. I ended up getting evicted, as well as what he did. Um, I resented my brother for that for a very long time, because I felt like he shouldn't have evicted me. It should have been only him. Why did he evict me? And so there was a lot of resentment towards him because of that reason. So I I we moved out. So I was kind of stuck with him, I guess. Not really. I mean, I could have left, but I didn't. And so I worked at a job for 4 years. This one, I worked at the deli, and I liked it there. People were nice to me. The managers liked me. I was a hard worker. I did my job. It was fun. And slowly, now I'm gonna put a disclaimer, okay, before anybody tries to say anything. Nobody makes you do anything, okay? Um, I could say maybe if you had a gun to your head, but even then, ultimately, it is your choice. You know, it was my choice, and I fully accept what happened to me. Um, but peer pressure is real. And so he introduced me into drugs. Pot was the main one. He tried to get me into cocaine, but that didn't work. So he tried something else, and that was pills, some anxiety medicines, Xanax. Um, and I kind of liked the way it felt, and it made me more productive. I was doing more things. I had a clearer head. But after taking them for so long, you kind of feel this drunk feeling, and I didn't like that. Um, there was things that I found out later in the relationship that he hadn't told me, and, like, for instance, like the pills. I thought that was a new thing, But no, he had been doing this way before he met me. And I found this out through a friend of his. And, so we moved around. Um, First it was like a trailer home, and then it was like a 2-story old fashioned, like it was well kept. It wasn't an old house, but it was like all wood, wooden staircase, wooden floors, um, and that's kind of where everything began. Really, like I started going through things that I couldn't explain. Um, we were all, I guess at that time I was already kind of suspicious of him. I didn't really trust him. He would say, when he was under the influence, he would say really mean things to me. Um, I remember sitting outside with him, and he told me that he didn't want to be with me, that he didn't love me, and it really hurt because I really loved him. And it really hurt me. And I was like, no, you're just saying that, you're just saying that. And of course, when he was off, he's like, no, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I still want to be with you, this, that, whatever. It would totally change. So, a lot of things didn't make sense. And now I realize that, this world is, there really is, like, it's spiritual. We go through spiritual warfare. We may think it's physical because that's all we can see is the physical, but there is a spiritual side to everything that happens. So it's a lot of stuff. It's 10 years worth of experiences, and God still reveals himself in amazing ways to this day. So, but with him, it was 10 years. I guess how I'm gonna say this, because like I said, it's 10 years. I don't have, photographic memory, and I can't just remember, okay, on this day I did this and this and this, and then on this day I did this. So I guess I'll generalize it and say at the beginning of the relationship, the middle, the end, and kind of group it together. The next few videos, I guess I'm just gonna have to, because I won't be able to do it in actual, like, chronological order. I'll just, as I remember things, I will say them and how I remember them. So I guess, like I said, I was going through a lot of stress at the time, and I didn't realize it, but I hadn't eaten in like 2 weeks. I had lost 50 pounds. That's not advice to lose. No, but I really didn't. I had this feeling um, of if I ate something, I would die. Like, I had this real, like, I don't know, I just couldn't eat. And I guess that was the stress. That's what I would say is the stress of just constantly dealing with him, because I've had to bail him out of jail. I've had to. He was getting so hooked on the pills, and he was drinking alcohol at the same time. I can't drink alcohol. There's just am beyond a weakling when it comes to alcohol. One little sip and I'm already throwing up. Like, I get physically sick. And then I have like that hungover feeling for like days. And then if I drink a lot, sometimes weeks. Like, it just, I get sick. Um, so, we were going through a lot of stress. I wasn't eating. And I remember, I had to, there was, I always thought he was cheating on me. There was like this weird feeling that I thought he was cheating on me, and I remember one time, he would go to his dealer's house. It was a girl, and I had to tell him one day, like, she only likes you for the money, because he would drop down hundreds of dollars, and that was my money. I was supporting him for like the first half of the relationship for about 5 years. So it was my money that I was working full time, overtime, really, just to make rent, just to, feed his drug habit. And so I told him finally, like, that's the only reason why she likes you, is because you were dropping down hundreds of dollars. And I guess it kind of clicked because he kind of stopped at that time. But I remember one time that there was, he was, well, because we were kind of on and off at the time. And I had come to see him, like, unexpectedly, and he wasn't there. And I had a weird feeling that he was over there at that girl's house. And I said, okay, well, first, let me check to see if he's at the house. So I kind of broke into our own house, because even though I was paying for the rent, I wasn't there all the time, because I would leave and then just leave him there to stay there, and I was still paying for it. And but I would go stay with my mom or whatever, and ultimately come back. So it was like this for, on and off. And it was one of those times. And so I had come back, and I broke into the house, and I couldn't get into the main house, but there was a big garage in the back. And I said, well, there's no cars here. Let me go see if his car's in the garage. So I went into the garage, broke into the garage, and I just, no one was there. No one was there. So I finally called him, and I said, hey, where are you at? He goes, oh, I'm at the house. And I said, oh, really? I said, well, I'm actually here. You're lying, you're not here. He goes, oh, I'm not feeling too good. I'm sick. He goes, like, coughing. I'm sick. And then I hear like when someone plops down on a leather couch, it's like a very distinct sound. And I hear that, like, and I I said, oh, okay. And so I hung up. I drove to that lady's house, and sure enough, I had just missed him. He drove out of the apartment complex where she lived. And I ended up turning around and following him home. And he was just like, I said, why are you lying to me? You're not, you weren't even here. And he just, honestly, I don't even remember what his excuse was, but it was some excuse. And for some reason I believed it, I guess, because I eventually, went back, and then I left again, and because this is when things started getting physical too, and He would hit me and I would hit him back. I wasn't the type to like cower away or anything when someone hits me, so I would hit back. Um, and I remember going there one day, and I was staying at my niece's house, which was probably like a 5-minute drive away. It wasn't too far. And he he was like, "Oh, I want you to come back," and this and that. He was like begging me to come back. So I was like, "Okay, fine, we'll talk about it." And I went over there, and when I got there, he already had one rolled up, and I I had we went to the garage and we smoked, and I guess let me just remind you that I had been smoking for years and nothing has ever happened. I've tried. He was a connoisseur of that, so he always picked the highest quality and he always named it by strain. Like, that's how, um, how much he liked it and how much he cared about what strain, what this, what that. And so, and it was strong stuff that I was smoking. Nothing has ever happened. I was good at dealing with it, whatever. And so um so that day we were smoking in the garage, and I started to zone out, and he was saying something. I can't remember what he was saying, but it felt like it was important. But I couldn't remember. It was like he knew that I wouldn't remember. Well, and then all of a sudden, my throat started burning. It was on fire. Like, it was so bad. Like, when you smoke, it burns, okay? Especially if you're new and whatever. And the type of paper that you use or whatever the reason, it does. But this was different. It felt like a chemical burn. I got up and I turned around and looked at him and started yelling at him. I said, "What did you put in here?" That was my first thought. I said, "What did you put in here? What did you put in here?" And I was like this. I was like, because it was burning so bad. And I freaked out. I ran uh, through the garage, through the house, uh, out the front door. And I was like, because my mom has always told me to never show fear, because the evil one feeds off of it. So when I got to the car, I tried to calm myself down. I was like, "It's okay. There was nothing happened. Nothing happened." And I think that was my thing. That's why I lasted so long with him, was because I always tried to rationalize things like, "Oh, nothing happened. It's okay. Nothing, there's nothing going on. I'm just crazy. I'm just whatever." And by that time, I guess I was thinking so long, by that time, I he had come out to the car where I was, and he's like, well, why don't we go inside? Let's go smoke another one and you'll calm down. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And I was just like, you know what? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. So yeah, fine, okay. So we go inside and I follow him upstairs. And this is where he started whistling a Wizard of Oz song, and goes the one that goes, "If I only had a brain, da na 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 na," you know. And then I was like, cause I'm still kind of high or whatever. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my goodness. And I ran back downstairs and I slipped. And I slipped about 3 or 4 steps, and my hands went out like this, and I caught the rail in the wall, with my hands, and there was a nail, and it caught my hand, and I still have a scar. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but right here, it's kind of shiny. I guess this camera's not too good, but it goes across like this. And I caught it and it cut me, and I went